Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Shared Minds podcast. Long-time listeners of this show will know that me and Liam started this show because Liam had severe OCD and we needed to create a platform that we needed when we were in our absolute rock bottom. Liam was very heavily inspired by one podcast in particular, where one guy spoke very brave and very open about his OCD and his battles, and all it did was help Liam, and we wanted a platform that we were able to share the same message that he did. So when we started, we created a top 50 list, and I cannot believe that I'm about to say this, but number 2 on that list is sitting right in front of us today.
Number 2?
Behind Luke Combs.
I can drink a kombucha out of a boot if you want.
Maybe that's a good one.
No, maybe I won't. I don't know. Well, that's enormous. I'm enormously honoured that you would say such a thing. And
welcome, Osher.
Mate, thanks for having me, lads. I appreciate it. And the reasons that you wanted to start this were the same reasons that I wanted to start my show in 2013 when you were still in primary school. Podcasts were in black and white back then. It was very different.
Different time.
It was a different time. I had to get a cassette and then mail it to people. Distribution was difficult. But it was because I wasn't hearing the kind of conversations that made it feel like, oh, this is just a thing that happens, you know? You heard heaps of conversations about people having trouble with their kids or relationship stuff, but you never heard conversations about, oh yeah, this is a thing. It's a problem like any other problem. There's solutions to it. And here they are. And, this is what it is. And so I was like, fuck, I only knew that I started to get better when I started to hear other people who had been where I was and now describing what their life was like and go, oh, right, okay. So I can't see between here and there yet, but I'm going to believe that that's possible, because the options are pretty shit if I don't believe that's possible. And that's lovely. Yeah. That's lovely.
It's quite interesting because on the 8th of the 11th, 2023, that was one, I got stuck in a 9-month obsession. It was the worst time of my entire life. And my best friend, one of my best friends, Jack Johnston, sent me You and the Rich Roll episode. Was it Rick Roll?
Rich, like Jack the boxer?
No. He was on F-Boy Island, actually.
The guitar player?
No. Shirtless Jack, they call him, actually.
So on my list of top 50 Jack Johnsons, number 1 is the boxer who actually had to come to Australia because he was an African-American man. He had to come to Australia to have a fight because over in the States, he would beat the white guys and riots would happen. This is terrible. How dare a white man lose in the boxing ring? It happened here in Australia, in Sydney, just down the road where he did
it. There you go.
At the arena around the corner. And my second Jack Johnson is the kind of coastal chill,
the guitar singer one.
Was a pro surfer, got his face smashed up a pipeline, and we thought, you know what, maybe I'll just play this G to C9 chord a lot. But the third one would definitely be the guy from
Shirtless Jack is who I think you might be referring to on number 3.
There's a lot of other Jack Johnsons on my list.
He's got the T at the end too, so it gives it that bit of dominance.
Oh, I didn't wear my hearing aids today, so you might have said it. I don't hear it. Sorry, that really ruined that entire joke.
No.
And so at the time, sorry, I really just...
No, you're fine. You're fine. So he sent me that video. I was stuck in a 9-month obsession. And it was something about, I can't remember the title, but I didn't have OCD in it, so I never would have found it. I remember listening to it the first time, and you started talking about your psychosis and paranoid delusions.
That was terrible.
And at that point, I was experiencing the same thing. So I had false memory OCD where I thought I was cheating on my fiance at the time. And I would convince myself of all sorts of things. But at this point, it was a girl that I worked with. And then it evolved into me thinking I'd kiss every girl in shopping centres that I'd spoken to. I couldn't go out drinking, couldn't leave the house.
Oh, my gosh.
And I got to a point... I was showing these guys earlier that there's a video of me in toilets when I'm drinking or sober, and it's just to make sure that there's no women in the toilet with me.
Wow.
But I listened to that one with Rich Roll probably, I reckon, 30 plus times.
Wow.
And when me and my fiance split up, I alternated between you and Joe Rogan, Luke Combs and Joe Rogan, and you and Rich Roll. So,
I can understand the undulation there. I had to decouple from Joe. He was all right for a while, but now I'm just like... Okay, man, I'm all for exploring ideas, but at some point, you kind of have to back it up with some amount of reality, because I have had episodes, as you discussed, I've had episodes where my reality wasn't there, and so I like to know that there's reality grounded. That would have been really, really, really horrible for you to go through, and if you didn't know it was happening... why would you consider it was not happening at all? If you didn't know it was going on.
Exactly.
The day that it all went down for me, I remember my man, David, I called him up and he says, "You're lucky, pal, because crazy people don't know they're crazy." Mm-hmm.
That one carried you through that
fucking
line.
true.
It carried you.
It's so true though. It's so true. And we are so, why would we ever question that any of the input into our bodies, what we see, what we hear, what we taste, what we smell, what we touch, why would we ever question that it's not actually there? Because we've never had any reason to, all right? But once it starts happening, it feels and looks and smells exactly the same as everything else. It's just your brain, something's gone and just flipped it over to the imagination part, to now it's there. And then you're starting making choices and decisions based upon your own values in reaction to a reality that doesn't exist. So people look at you and go, "What the fuck is that?" Yeah. And you go, "You don't understand. There's spiders everywhere. Come on."
Can you guys not see them?
It is though. Well, it was everything. Kirby, I was lucky. I had Kirby. Byron was actually a part of it as well in the heat of it. But Kirby was there, and he was the one that talked sense into me. But at the time, I didn't know I had OCD, and I didn't know what was wrong with me. So I just believed everything that was going on around me.
It's so hard, man.
Oh yeah,
it's so hard. How did
heartbreaking from? And from someone else being the outside support, like your friend. It's just absolutely heartbreaking because you know that there isn't really much that you can do because like Liam had the false obsessions with like the kissing women. We'd be walking to a shopping center and he'd turn to me and he'd go, "Did I kiss her?" I go, "Who?" He goes, "The one in the red back there." I'm like, "No." And like it got to a point where like we become really close during this. So like Liam have to go, "I'll go to the bathroom. Can you come with me?" I'm like, "Okay."
Every time.
Just to know that, because I knew what it would do to him. I took 2 a.m. phone calls from him just to talk him off these ledges and stuff.
That's good of you, man. That's really good of you, and that's the most important thing to do when you're in those situations is to understand that my brain can't handle this. I'm just going to need to bounce this idea of somebody else.
Yep.
Yeah,
that's it. I'm just going to double check. Just going to verify. You know,
it took me a long time to do that as well.
Verify.
Just double. Am I saying Is this normal, Kerb?
But there was days where you were driving into work and you were like in absolute tears, going, "What is wrong with me?"
Yeah, I called my mum crying. I hadn't eaten or slept for 4 days.
Oh, right.
It got to about 7 a.m. and I was like, "I got to get out of the house." And I called my mum just crying. And I was like, "I don't know what is wrong with me. This doesn't make sense. This only used to happen when I'm drinking. Now I'm going through it sober." And we were on the phone. She's like, "I think it's OCD." And I was like, No, it's not that. I don't care about, cleanliness, hygiene. Like I care about hygiene, but not to that extent.
It's such a false thing. It's like it's this trope that it doesn't. It looks good for a screenwriter.
Yep.
You know, that's essentially that when people go, "Oh, he's psycho." Like it's easy for a screenwriter to make the baddie beyond remorse and beyond empathy. All right, it's easy for them to go, "Oh no, they're psychotic," or a sociopath. That's then full easy. There's a black and white character. There you go. Everybody else can be color around them.
Yep.
But it's not real. That's not what it is.
No.
It can be so many different things. And it's just your brain getting stuck, and just doing circle work.
It is. I literally walked in a circular block with this woman, and I would imagine the entire walk in length, and I'd just go around and around. It was 55 seconds of every minute of every day. It occupied my mind for about 9 months.
Good God! And what point? Like, where was your first port of call? Like, did you go to a GP? Like, what happened?
Well, a friend sent me Osher Günsberg with Rich Roll, and I went, "Oh, okay, hang on, there's something here.
Right, yeah.
There might be some, okay, I'm actually experiencing something that other people experience."
Yeah.
About a month after that, I then went to a GP. I told him everything and he looked at me like I was insane. And he said, "Here's some medication." I went, "Yeah, but you don't know what's wrong with me." So then I went through a few and I found one.
Yeah, you got to.
Then I went to a therapist, young guy,
Yeah.
and he made me do like exposure and response. And because I was worried about cheating, he made me used to watch videos of people getting caught cheating live on camera.
Hard, yeah.
And I was sitting there next to him going, "I'm paying you $300 an hour for this, and I feel horrible."
Made you way worse. Made you way worse.
Exposure therapy is hard.
It's hard work. So I went home and I watched it, and I just sat there with the level of anxiety like I was going to jump out of a plane.
Yeah.
And then I really put some time and effort into it. But me and my partner ended up splitting up after a certain amount of time, and I realised that a lot of it was in my environment and how that relationship was. And so I still get it now quite a lot. Like with my teeth, this situation, I was very nervous about it. I obsess, but I'm excited. Okay. But now it's kind of behind me, and I'm just working with the stuff in front of me.
Sometimes these things, I wouldn't want to give anyone the idea that, and I'm cured. No, it's like I take meds every day, and I have for a long time.
Yep.
Because at this point in my life, I tried life without them. I wasn't able to do it. I was disappointed that I wasn't able to do it, but I understood, can't get there. All right, that's all right. With these meds, I'm okay. And it's just kind of always around. That's all. And now I know what to do about it. You know, it doesn't mean that I can't live a full life and enjoy my life with my family and you know, have a career. But it's just kind of it's the thing there. But it's okay.
It's always like here, kind of just.
Well, it depends. You know, as you mentioned, you know, it comes and goes with whatever you're going through in your day. But it's just a thing to remember that, you know what? Sometimes when my bank account gets to this level and the bills are at this level and, you know, I've got this coming up at work or this is happening and, you know, such and such, I generally start to fragment a bit. I need to be mindful and plan ahead a bit, kind of get around that. And it just takes a bit of planning. That's all. And be great. I'm, you know, trying to find being grateful for the things that it does give me, which is an ability to just fucking keep going and doing it something until I've figured it out.
Yep. That's us right now.
Because it's like what I think it was Rich was saying, or you were saying, it was like it was your doctor who said, like, people, who do you think, divers and swimmers, how do they look at a line on the bottom of a pool from they were 8 to 15? And it's like, you look at what we're doing, like as we said, we had you on our dream list. And we were like laughing, going, nah, come on, that's not going to happen. Well, and then all of a sudden we're waiting at the front going, Liam, I think that's him on the bike. I think that's him on the bike.
It's interesting. That doctor is 2 streets over from here. Like, it's
bring him in.
Nah.
You're kidding.
No. He's just over there. Yeah.
Well,
I don't know if he's still working though. He'd be in his 80s by now.
Oh.
He was 72 when I met him.
That's crazy. He's just straight over.
Well, he's Chinese-born Australian. He looked 40, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know who the fuck thought that Caucasians were the master race, but we look the most oldest, haggard, most fragile. My wife is Fijian. Her family is, you know, Chinese, Fijian, Indian, someone. Like, those guys look younger than me, her parents. What? And that's in the sun. You know?
Yeah,
just the vitamin D.
When we stand in the sun for too long, we shrivel.
I grew up in Queensland. It's the skin cancer capital of the world.
Yeah, me too.
It's just like, I'm haggard.
Yeah. Can we jump back? Because I really want, because our listeners, they may not know your story of the global warming.
Oh, yeah.
Can you tell that story so they can get a grasp on where you're coming from on it?
Okay, so your thing was kissing.
Yeah, false memory. I convinced myself I killed people and I was going to jail. All that fun stuff.
Terrible.
All the fun stuff.
Yeah, but it's terrifying. And, you know, I will point out, like, I got lucky in that mine wasn't to do with any kind of sexuality or anything like that, because that can happen and people can get into a lot of trouble and they make really, really poor choices that hurt people terribly. And it's really sad. It's really sad that they haven't been able to feel they can go and get help earlier before they have a chance, before they, you know, end up in a situation where they make a terrible choice like that. So I'm old, I'm 51. And there was a time in the mid-'80s when I was in high school when they threw up a satellite and went, oh shit, we just discovered there's this fuck-off hole in the ozone layer. Guys, it's over at the poles and all the UV light gets through. There's no, like, this is bad.
There's no if, but, maybe. It's
this
happening.
Is actually, and then here's the photos. And that was the first time, and we started talking about, you know, global warming and things like this in the 80s. It was really scary, right? But the world got together. They figured out, it's chlorofluorocarbons. It's accelerants, propellants in aerosol cans and refrigerators and things like this. And so I think the world got together and they, you know, the developed countries sorted out, and by 1992 they all met in Montreal and went, done. All right, and now there's no
problem sorted.
Yeah, we've got it sorted. We're good, right? But the idea that an existential threat that could destroy all of us based upon our way of life was there. And the conversations were very, very real. It was very scary, but we figured it out. Everyone went, actually, none of us want that to happen. Let's stop that. Here's a great alternative. Yeah, for some reason, the people that made the chlorofluorocarbons and the refrigerants didn't have as strong a lobbying factor as the fossil fuel companies, because those guys were very much like that. Oh, no, but look over here. Here's something. And it was just... So
great at misdirection, eh? But look at this instead.
It's so fucked. But I'd always been aware of these things. I'd always been aware of the environment. I've been, you know, I haven't eaten meat since, I don't know. Christ, what is it? I don't know, 20 something years. I don't know. Long time. more than 25 years I've been vegetarian, but I've been vegan. Well, I don't like saying that, plant-based. So 23 years, 24 years. Because of the amount of water and food that it takes, and land, that it takes to create a kilogram of animal protein versus a kilogram of plant protein. And I can get just as much, just everything I need without doing that. And so I made that choice, and that's fine for me. What other people put in their mouth is their business. And so I'd always been kind of around it, but then a bunch of things stacked up, right? I was essentially unemployed. I was paying rent out of my savings in a foreign country. I was in a relationship with someone that was not appropriate for me as a sober person. It was wildly exciting, but it was...
I heard you say she was inappropriate in the video with Rich, and I was like, I wonder what that means, but now I get it. Now I get it.
There was some significant gaps with the kind of life that I was living and the kind of life that this person was living.
Yep.
I'll put it that way. And where they were in the world as far as, in the stage of their career. And it was like all over the shop. And then I found out my father was quite ill back in Australia. And so it was like 7 things, like a Jenga tile stacked on top of itself. And that was it. And just one day I just woke up, and as far as I was concerned, the paper that I was reading, I read the New York Times on my iPad, which is in Times New Roman. The font is named up anyway.
There's a story in
it.
It
gave you the weather every day, and underneath it's going to be this many degrees, and the American made up ones, like 68. Well, what is that? Yeah. All right. And then under said it, what was it? It was February at the time. He goes, and January was the 144th consecutive warmest month on record, because we were in February by that point. And just something happened in
this
my
was
brain.
stacked on you already kind of paranoid about the whole thing of global warming, and it was the
paranoid.
I
hadn't slipped into paranoia before that. I was just very aware and very concerned, gravely concerned.
Yeah.
And
a lingering thought.
Well, yeah, it was always around, and I was, spending time with people who were very much in the business of, we can make money making these products that whatever we're making that do not have an impact as intensely as we have been, and we're going to actively push into that. And it's like, it's possible, we can do this, it's okay. But seeing that other companies and stuff were just ignoring it left and right. Mm-hmm. And something just split in my brain, and that was it. As far as I was concerned, I was the only person that knew it was happening, and the absolute, complete, most worst catastrophic outcomes possible were absolutely going to happen, and may as well have been happening that day or by the end of the day, and I was the only person that knew about it. And I knew I was in trouble because I had spent some time, someone close to me had been through an episode, and another friend who was a medical professional had asked, hang on, I'm getting that confused. No, I was in touch with a friend of mine who was a medical professional and letting them know. I don't know this person for a long time. And they said, well, did you want to run down the street and warn people? I said, yeah, absolutely. And he goes, you need a doctor. All right. That's when you get the people standing on the street corner kind of screaming and shouting about stuff.
With the board saying the world.
Yeah. Because as far as they're concerned, it's real as real, right? And so I went for a run because that usually down-regulated me, but it was just terrible. I was seeing things, I was hearing things were kind of glitching in and out. I don't know your experience in this, but when I watch some of the more recent television shows depicting this sort of stuff, it's very clear to me that someone in the writer's room has been through something like this. Mr. Robot is the example that I would use.
We looked at that up before,
Yeah, how it kind of just glitches in and out. It's kind of there for a second and then it's not. But it's so there. Absolutely there. And like seeing his father on a fence or something and then looking back and not there. But it's there. He's not imagining it.
But but then you don't know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then sometimes it gets more that way and sometimes it gets more the other. But it's kind of intermittent in and out.
Sorry, so is it like in The Secret Life of Walter Mitty? Have you watched that movie?
Oh, come on,
with Ben Stiller? He's kind of like standing there and then someone says something to him and then he punches the guy in the face and fights on with him and then you're like, oh, he's done that. And then it just kind of, and he's still standing in the elevator looking at the guy. Is it like you watch these things happen or it's just the glitch is, it's there and then it's gone?
I never had any violence.
Yeah.
In my that is luckily that is a very real manifestation of this. People very well and truly have fantasies of violence and things like that.
Or but like you were kind of running and then all of a sudden you saw the wave coming and then and then it's gone.
It's like it's you see it long enough for you to react to it and think fire, and then it's not there, and then no one else is seeing it. Yeah. And it's the overwhelming feeling of dread never really left. But then I knew, I had a very tough time. I called my man, the guy that helps keep me sober, and that's when he said the thing before. And then he also said, "This is way out of my pay grade. You need a doctor." But I couldn't see my doctor for another couple of days.
That's the worst.
And so I had like 3 days, and
long 3 days.
It was terrible. And of course, I'm on a ski trip to Colorado. So there I am in February, March. So it's already coming towards the close of the season. And so, the sun came out.
The snow's melting.
The snow's melting.
It was horrific, beyond horrific.
That's exposure and response therapy, isn't it?
Mate, I didn't even know about it then. But I'm with friends in a chalet or whatever, and we're all in the same place together. And I'm trying to not let them know that I'm proper losing it. It was so bad. It took a long time before I found someone that could explain to me what was going on. I was lucky, really, really lucky that a couple of years before that, I'd always explored meditation, but I had learned a particular form of meditation that I had found quite useful. And I got lucky. Like earlier, like in 2001, I got diagnosed with PTSD. And about 9 years later, I got sober. So the thing with PTSD is I learned how to I learned the cognitive behavioral therapy techniques where like, just because I think it doesn't mean it real, and what are some other things that could have been happening, and then what's another way that I could approach the situation that might give me a different situation. So learning that my thoughts might not always be what's actually happening. So that's very hard for people to come to initially. Right? So I got to go to that. And then when I got sober, I was able to kind of have the feeling before we were speaking about checking with other people going, did I sound like I was really mad at that person? No. Okay, good. Because I'd not lived life sober, really. I'd drunk since I was 14, really. So I didn't know to feel passionate or what it might sound like to feel frustrated without being angry. I didn't know the granularity.
I'm the same, yeah.
And it was difficult, but I always check with people. Do I need to go and say something to them? Maybe you might want to go. Okay, then I'll go back in there. And I would do that, because I was still learning how to do it properly with the nuance in my emotional expression. And so by the time this happened, I knew how to meditate. I knew that it might not be real. And it was in a meditation. By this point, I'd been Amsterdam. I was going to business school at Amsterdam, of all places. It was great. But I'm meditating.
That's a great spot to not be hallucinogenic, eh?
It's actually an amazing city.
I've been there. It is stunning.
Incredible place. And thank God I went there when I was not drinking or using. Because I was able to really actually appreciate it.
Enjoy it,
it's an unbelievable community and brilliant society. And everything's got its flaws, but it was pretty good. And I'm meditating, and I could see my thoughts kind of going past me. And just going, look at that. Every single one of them is through this kind of prism of doom. Even like we're sitting in the room here in Woolloomooloo, and there's a coffee table in front of us. There's a ceramic pot. All right, for example, my brain would see the ceramic pot just benignly sitting on the shelf, and my brain would go, oh, it came from a kiln. The kiln would have come from electricity. The electricity would have come from coal fire. And just like the world is ending because of that pot. Right, and these microphones are made of steel, metal, some sort of alloy, but there was huge amounts of energy was taken to melt this stuff down and then create it and push it into what it is. And just I was like, isn't that interesting? Every single thing that's coming into my eyes, my ears, is being distorted through this lens.
It's funneling back down to that one core value of absolute Armageddon.
Well, I don't think I have a value of Armageddon.
But
it's through. I would say it's through a lens. Sometimes people use the analogy of a pair of glasses that only allows you to see certain things.
Yeah.
And I wasn't able to take them off though. Yeah. And I was stuck in. I rode my motorbike here, so it's kind of like a fucking bug has splattered on my motorbike visor, right? And I know that it's just not all moths it's not Mothmageddon.
Yeah.
But as far as I can see, there's nothing but moths. You know, if I'm riding to Canberra in the wrong time of year and just all those bogong moths splat all over my visor. But I couldn't take the helmet off. All right? Everything's, aren't you afraid of the moths? The moths are everywhere. It's like, no, they're just on my visor. And if I just flip it up, I'm okay.
Gone.
But I didn't know what was happening. But once I did, I was like, oh, right. Huh. Then it would keep coming down. Okay. And that's where the meds come in.
Yeah, right.
That's where the meds help you just kind of go, oh, okay, hang on. Okay. And just allow you to do that work. And then slowly over time, it becomes easier.
Wow.
Can I ask, sorry, with OCD, it attacks your core values, usually. Can I ask, do you know why it went to the global warming and the world ending?
Fuck me, I don't know, man.
Or do you think that was just an off day, you've seen the New York Times?
I don't know.
Or was that something that from a child that freaked
I don't know,
you
man.
out?
I was too busy trying to stay alive to consider that because, you know, obviously you got to be careful talking about this kind of stuff, but I don't know if you experienced this, but every time one of those thoughts came, and it persisted for a long time, months, I'd actually feel physical pain.
Oh, yeah.
Like you're chewing on a Kit Kat wrapper, right? Or someone's poked you with a fork.
I get the heat.
It was awful. Like you flinch, or if someone's given you I went to the kind of school where people flick you with their tie. It was like that. You're like, like it would actually flinch and hurt. And so I'm walking down the street going like this, just kind of being all jumpy. Yeah. When I met my wife, I would sit there, just kind of like this, just
twitching,
like just twitching.
And did you tell her?
Never happened at work. Oh, always, absolutely. Never happened at work because I was kind of in the moment and concentrating. But as soon as it was, if I was kind of in a quieter space, I would just kind of twitch like that.
Because the brain was going.
Oh yeah, and me trying to keep the thoughts quiet. But that was my response, my reaction response of like, you gotta get the fuck out of here. Gotta get the fuck. And after a while, you start looking for ways to make that stop. And some of those ways have, the permanent solutions to temporary problems. And that is awful. And it would happen 20 times a day.
Yeah.
That became a great idea. It was like, I can't do this, man. I can't do this anymore. Thankfully, I found a psychiatrist. I ended up working with a double team of guys. One was a psychologist, one was a psychiatrist. They worked together, which was really, really useful. And the first thing I did was just like put me on tons of meds. And it was great.
I think that's the silver bullet, hey? Just put me on whatever you've got.
At that point, I would have taken anything.
Same. Yep.
I'd just like make it stop.
I was like, can't you just stop this with a pill? Surely. Yep.
Well, with the right, and he told me, he was a really interesting American. Americans are interesting. It's like, I never lose. I'm like, okay. That gave
That's what
me
you want in your corner, isn't it?
Like, okay,
this
good.
is the guy I want to be with.
Yeah. And he's like, the only thing that's going to be tricky is getting the dosages right. You just got to have it doesn't happen immediately. You got to have the patience to get it right. And so at one point I was on 2 separate kinds of antipsychotics, SSRIs and NSRI, and it takes a little bit, but after a while it works, right? And it was, but then everything feels like the world look like blue tack.
Yep.
All right. So after a couple of months of that, there's no real ups and downs.
It's the most monotone life, isn't it?
Which was nice.
America.
Yep.
I really needed it.
Yep.
But it also, the drugs that I was on, I don't know if it was the same with you, it messes with your insulin response. And so,
I see you gain weight.
Mess with my testosterone, which is really weird when that starts happening. And then I was putting on about 1 kilo a week. Oof. And I remember sitting down with my psychiatrist in Santa Monica and just saying to him, I was like, man, I've got to go back to Australia. I've got to go and do this. I picked up for another TV show, for another season of this show. I'm down to track pants. And he said to me, mate, I could stop everything. And it still wasn't great, right? We were still working on dosages. And man, I could stop it. I could stop everything. But you would be 50 pounds heavier, which is 25 kilos. I could make it all okay. But that's how you'd live your life. And I just, man, I can't do that.
You've got to be on TV.
Well, it's my job. And I haven't really thought about what else I could do, but also didn't like I'd been big before and I was over a ton at that point. I was like, I don't like being this big. Didn't feel good. I can't run like I used to. And so it took a bit, and I was amazingly like, there was another thing. Maybe we're in the shrink district. I don't know, but my other shrink,
just down here,
he's like literally in that building there.
Oh wow!
Yeah, he's in that building, and he that's also the Easy Tiger offices. That's where the guys who make column from accounts, they work in that office right there. And
cool.
yeah,
hey guys, we're in the heart of it all.
Yeah, you really are.
We've done well.
And it was weird, and I don't know if you experienced it with your guy, but he was younger than me. It's like this
I
fucking
think mine was too, yeah.
odd. Getting old is weird. At first, all the people on the footy field are older than you, no matter what. And then some of them are around your age. Yeah. And now everyone's younger than you. And now even the umpires are younger than you. You're like, when did that happen? The fuck happened? And so I go in to see this guy. I'm like, what, he's 6? No, he's 31, 32. It takes a long time to become a psychiatrist. He's an incredibly brainy guy. And they're the smartest guys they've ever known. And they don't like to be wrong. So I got really, really, really lucky when we kept fucking around with the dosages and it wasn't doing the job. And he went, maybe it's something else. Maybe it's not what I think it is. I'm going to start treating you for OCD because it might be OCD.
Oh, wow.
And so I had to come off all those meds and I had a week without it, which was...
How was that? No good.
So 2 things. I was doing breakfast radio at the time. And so very slowly we came down off med. Like they say, don't stop taking your meds suddenly for a good reason. Like I had to go very, very slowly. Even then it was very bumpy. It was kind of like if you've been on like butter smooth, like the most freshest piece of the Pacific Highway bypass you've ever been on. Like you no longer get to visit Brunswick Heads, but fine, I'm on straight line. Butter smooth, and then the heat freeway goes that way, and you just hit a dirt road that hasn't seen a grader in 20 years.
Yeah.
But you're still doing 110.
Yeah.
It was that. It was like, oh, and I was doing breakfast radio, and the first Monday I did it, I told everyone on the team, look, I'm going to do this, so I might be a little edgy. I might be a little edgy. And within the first 45 minutes of that show that morning, I got a text from the other 3 people on the show with me. I was remote. I was down in Sydney, they were in Brisbane. And they'd all wrote, fuck, you're funny this morning. Jeez, you're fucking fast. Like, and I remember, like, because I came up doing radio and television, like, of course I drank so much when I got off air because the RPMs that I would get to perform at that level, like, I didn't know how to come down from that. Like, I was funnier than faster than I dream. Problem is, I was gritting my teeth at 10 p.m. still. I couldn't sustain.
You couldn't just go home and go to bed.
I didn't know how. I know now, but I couldn't do it. It was awful. Broke my heart. But then slowly we started getting on these other drugs, and they were like, he goes, look, they're very old. They were one of the first ones that ever came in. Like, so these are drugs from the 50s.
Yeah.
Right? Okay. But man, like within 6 weeks, life was so different.
Wow.
So different.
In a good way?
Unbelievably so.
Yeah.
It was incredible. And it was really, really hard to persevere with that. But and I'm sure you had the same experience. I just did not accept that this was what life was going to be. There has to be something. I didn't get born for this.
Yep.
I didn't get born to flinch and at anything and not be able to speak to people, look people in the eye, be terrified of a pot plant, not be able to talk to people, have no testosterone, think about ways to make it all stop 20 times a day. I will not accept this as an outcome.
Yep. And
so the other version, the opposite to that, is to push into the work that is required, which is nearly as hard as everything else.
It's hard.
It's really hard. Exposure therapy fucking sucks, but it works.
Yep.
And it's really, really hard. But, I just had to keep remembering, I deserve more than this. I was born for more than this. Like any of us are, right? We're not born to be terrified and scream at strangers. We're born to be better to each other. That's what we're born for.
Yep.
We're here to help each other. We're not here everything, fuck you all, everyone but me. Less for you, more for me. No. There's more pie than there is pie chart. We're here to help each other. We're wired to assist each other. That's when we truly feel better. And that's what I want it to be. And not every day is okay, but that's the other part of it. Is you start wondering at what point is the amount of problems, because at some point it's just nothing but problems. Like nothing's okay. But at what point you start to realize, oh, hang on, sometimes it's great, sometimes it's not great. Oh, right. Oh, that's what life is. Oh, okay.
You don't have to be happy all the time, which I thought everybody else was.
No, doesn't exist.
Yep.
Doesn't exist.
It's a state, You're like this.
Yeah. And it's interesting that I'm grateful that we live in an era now where people can speak this way about this is a thing that happens at the same time. It doesn't define me. It's, I've got a fucking prosthetic hip. I just happen to have a prosthetic hip. it doesn't define me. Yeah, I do everything that I do with this thing. There's some limitations. I can't run anymore, but that's okay, right? There was a time where you would see a hero of the sporting field, hold aloft is it the Webb Ellis Trophy, the one of the NRL? I can't remember.
I don't know.
You'd see someone hold aloft
with the two guys sort of on the
one
trophy.
with a busted shoulder or something. And you go, these guys, they never have a problem. There they are winning the big footy match and being manly blokes with each other, and they've got a beautiful wife and great kids, and look at them drinking a fucking beer. Everything's amazing.
Everything's the best.
They got the best life ever, don't they?
Get a free pack of darts because it's the Winfield Cup, and they got sponsored, and never have to pay for the durries. Or someone would win the AFL Cup and they hold it up, and you'd think, wow, these guys got it made. These guys are heroes. They're 6'4" and they're unbelievable, and they go to the Brownlow and everyone looks beautiful and life's incredible. Yeah, but they had everything of that, and they also had the shit bits.
Yep.
We just never saw them speak about it. All right. But I'm grateful that we live in an era now where it's okay to have a reasonable expectation that kind of success comes with a lot of incredible challenges, personal challenges on yourself and on your family. And it's ridiculous to expect that it won't. And Susan David, who I've spoken about quite a bit, because she has this amazing line. The book she wrote is called Emotional Agility, and the line is, uncomfortable feelings are the price of admission to a meaningful life.
Wow.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. Yes, sometimes it's shit, but it's not shit forever. Sometimes it's great, but it's not great forever. You just got to be able to be okay with being okay, and hopefully keep steering towards a place that you value. And that's really all you got to do before bedtime.
Yeah. Well, as you said, how good is it that we're in a day and age where there's a lot of channels that people can talk about this kind of stuff? Because OCD just wasn't invented in the last 20 years.
No.
It's been around. You think about if you were living what you were living with, and what Liam was living, what he was living with back in, I don't know, 1910 or something.
1810.
Where unfortunately that's where they come up with the thing like psych wards and stuff. They just go, oh, this guy's crazy.
Well, they didn't know what to do with people, and the safest, because they didn't have medication like they do now. So they didn't know what to do with people, and they didn't know how to keep the community safe, which is understandable when you consider what completely untreated psychosis can be. It can be terrifying. It is way less violent than a lot of people think. It is far more rarely violent than people believe. It really is. It's a minuscule percentage. Yeah. But it's like a shark attack. If I go swimming, I'll be eaten by a shark. Well, they do happen. Yeah. But not as often as you think, compared to how many people went for a swim that day.
Yes.
It's kind of like that, but it makes a lot of news when it hits. But you got to think about, there's a reason evolutionarily for brains to be like this. You can't be an accident, right? Jordan Raskopoulos, she used to be an Axis of Awesome. She's an incredible comedian, artist, she does great live streams. She has this great line, atypical or neurodiverse people have always been here. Who the fuck do you think drew all the maps?
That's true.
Who the fuck do you think could be bothered to handwrite the fucking dictionary without one mistake? All right?
That's a very good
Okay,
point.
so we need a book, because we don't have a printing press yet. Yeah. We just need to have a collection of all the words that we use.
Every word ever.
Correctly spelled and defined. But every time we've got to make a new page, we've got to bind it. Give it to Kevin. Huh? The guy that doesn't look at anyone ever, right? But he's real good. He's real good at making matchstick castles. Kevin's very happy down in the basement, just with precise angles.
And that's like the dude on the sailing ship. Who sits there and draws, oh, we've gone out a bit, and draws a map like this.
Mate, absolutely.
All the cartographers, yeah.
Precisely.
Right, yeah.
Big words here, man. I'm loving it. Cartography. Hello.
We're just getting warmed up now.
But yeah, it's just understanding when it's useful to you and understanding when it's unregulated.
Yep.
And that's harder than it is, it's easy to say, but it's hard to do.
Well, because I remember, because we originally met because we worked at the same place together. And one day, Liam was doing he was asking me a reassurance question. And I could tell he was trying to get something out of me. This has gone back 3-4 years now or something.
4 years, I think, yeah.
And I said to him, I could tell. And I just said, what are you trying to get out of me? And then he goes, oh, can we go for a drive? I went, yeah. And then he told me in the car about the kissing thing.
I thought he knew.
Oh, right.
I thought he was in on it.
He was like...
Because he'd seen it.
Well, he was close with the girl, and I wasn't that close with Kirby. And I thought that they had a conversation. I thought that they knew. And I looked at Kirby, and I was like, he knows. This guy knows. They've talked about it. Whenever they go have a conversation, they both are talking about it. If they look at me funny, they're thinking about it, and they know.
Oh, my God.
I got so paranoid. Every conversation for 9 months with her was me trying to figure out if I could get it out of her.
Asking her.
A new way of asking. She was engaged at the time, and I said, so have you ever cheated on your partner? She's like, no.
It's casual workplace conversations.
I got weird. It got weird. I say now, I don't know what she would have thought about those conversations.
Have you spoken to her since?
I asked her point blank one day. I had enough. I was done. I cried this day. 9 months.
9.
I got to this day and I went, I'm gonna go ask her. I've got to go ask her. I've taken her out the front. I said, have we kissed before? And she goes, no, we would never do that. And I'm like, 9 months. I'm like, yes. 10 minutes later, I went, she was lying. Yeah, we did. That was all it took. 10 minutes.
But have you explained to her and spoken to her since about your diagnosis and things?
No, not her. No,
because then it evolved from her. Because one thing that I said to Liam is, I was like pretty much his support network, and I found that having reality really helped it. So it would start evolving. So it went from this one particular woman, and when we started getting him on top of it, and he was actually saying to the brain, no, it wasn't that one, it actually evolved because it was lacking the hits like this.
Yeah, yeah.
And it evolved into every woman ever.
Yeah, yeah.
So
then
I
got
said,
vulgar, very vulgar. Couldn't even go into bathrooms.
and I was like, man, like you're beating it. I said, it's evolving. It's fighting for its life at the moment, but it kept getting worse.
Because it's very stimulating, right?
Yeah.
So it's fight or flight.
Super
You
stimulating.
were up here full of adrenaline like you're going to jump out of a plane. And then when that runs out and you're kind of living a bit normally, you almost kind of feel you kind of miss that hit.
Oh, man. I know what you're saying.
You're kind of like,
I know what you're saying.
life's kind of boring. And that's like,
But you got to remember, though, what was your normal?
and that's what I don't know.
Okay, but like, I'm gonna sound like I'm dick measuring here, right? So the motorbike that I rode here on is it's an electric Harley Davidson. Right? It's got 116 Newton meters at 0 RPM. It's terrifyingly fast. Yeah. It's so fucking fast and dangerous, and it's so fun. I love the shit out of it. Right? It's such an amazing motorbike to ride. But if that's the only motorbike I've ever ridden, this is what motorbikes are.
Yes.
So when I ride someone else's motorbike just to have a ride, you turn the throttle and be like, well, this is very, I don't get, my brain doesn't hit the back of my skull when I'm coming off the lights. I'm not getting seasick from the deceleration. 125 cc, this is boring. But after a while, you're going to go, oh, right. That feeling of before the bypasses, when you would, come through Brunswick Heads and you had gone 110 and now you're doing 60, now you're doing 50, now it's 40 because the school's out. You're like,
and you feel like
is the car moving?
Yeah.
But you're like, oh, no, this is actually probably way too fast for a school zone still. And if a kid jumped out, I probably wouldn't be able to react in time. Yeah. Like, it's terrifying when you think about it. It's kind of that. You've been habituated to this. But it's not, like I was saying before, it becomes unsustainable. It becomes
horrible,
impossible, and it leaves you very little scope for anything to relate that to. And if you're only ever going fast, you miss stuff.
Oh, I missed.
You missed the nuance.
2 years. I missed 2 years.
Yeah.
I don't remember any of it.
You blinked
every day was just in here.
2 years of your life just gone.
Like 55 seconds of every minute was just up here. And I missed everything in front of me. All these exciting things. I remember I proposed because I had a false cheating OCD thing, and I thought that would make me feel better. I wanted to do it. It was in the back of my mind. But I was like, if I propose, this might make it better. And then that kind of fueled that. And it was just making me do these irrational things that now that I look back, I go, what was I even doing?
And what role did, I don't know, you don't have to disclose what you don't want to disclose, but what role did, I don't know, shall we say over-the-counter products, or perhaps not over-the-counter products, which can down-regulate someone's nervous system?
Yeah.
This will make it better.
Yeah.
The one behind the bar didn't make it better.
The one behind the bar made it better at the moment. And I explain it. I'm not sure if you would say something similar, but every drop of alcohol, I imagine sitting in a shopping centre and you hear everyone around you. One beer, it's like the earmuffs are on level 1. Every beer after that, it gets turned up and it drowns out the noise. When I was at Luke Combs, I had it stuck in an obsession. So I just drank as many beers as I could. And I got to a point where I couldn't stand, but I wasn't thinking about anything. And I'm lucky that I couldn't, the hangovers would make the anxiety and the OCD worse. So it was counterproductive. So I wouldn't, so I couldn't go and turn to alcohol. But for medication, I did mood stabilizers. And that's where I was resonating with you earlier, because I was just about to jump on a flight to America that I'd been waiting 12 months for. And I was sitting at the airport having a beer, and I'm like, I don't even care to go right now. I'm not even excited. I'm looking around going, for 12 months, this has consumed everything. I'm so excited. And then I'm sitting at the airport going, if that plane got cancelled, would I even care? And then I was like, I'm going to have a mood stabilizer. It's probably about time. And I looked at it and I went, oh, and I jumped off it straight away. And I was like, I would rather live like this than like this.
Oh, really? So you went straight off your meds?
Straight off. And you know what's funny?
And how did that work out?
He was going to America though. He was going for a holiday.
Yeah,
great. I'll go to a country where cops will fucking shoot anybody. That looks funny.
Yeah. I thought I had cocaine in my bag. And I'm like,
what are you doing?
In my bag? I'm like, no. I'm like, what have I done? But it's funny. That trip I actually got on top of my mental health. The best I ever had. But then unfortunately, me and my partner weren't good. But on the holiday, we became good. And then after 3 months of that holiday, it went really, really bad again. And then we broke up after 10 years.
Oy.
And then I was frustrated because I thought, I just spent 5 years trying to get on top of my mental health. I've gone through all of this. And in the end, it didn't even matter.
Oh, it did, because you're still alive.
And I'm here.
And she's okay.
Yeah, and I'm here and I've done what I've done.
Yeah.
And I needed that.
But you can't, at some point, you do wear the other people down.
Yeah.
You're right.
Yeah.
You're lucky that you guys weren't rooting, because like that would eventually you just go like, I can't do this. I can't be physically intimate with someone who's so unpredictable.
Yeah.
And it for a while, like it was really hard on somebody's partner. Really, really hard. When I wrote my book, when I wrote my first book, Audrey came with me to the Queensland Writers Festival, or Brisbane Writers Festival. And I'm there signing books, like and I was like, oh, someone else must be really fancy here at the desk. The line to go and say hello to my wife was twice as long as my line, because I talk about her being, this kind of, and the amount of people that bought the book because they were the other person.
Yes.
They were kind of, I'd been the support person.
We've had a lot of people message me, just in relation to partners, going, how do I navigate
really hard.
this?
It's really hard. You know, just they're sick, they need help. I'm not an expert.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I need to get them to someone who's got better ideas than either of us have got right now. Because a good cup of tea and a chat isn't doing it. You know, if you're outgunned, you're outgunned.
Yeah.
Go and get some better guns.
100%. Oh, yeah.
I'm going to cut in here because they've given me this signal.
What? 10
already?
minutes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where have I been?
But before we look, I know we've got to wrap, but there's one thing we didn't discuss, and that was I did start getting unwell again.
Yeah.
And I was around when, and it's important to understand that you don't do your 10 weeks or whatever your mental health plan, or your 20 weeks, whatever it is now, and go, and I'm done.
Yeah.
Thank you, certificate.
No, these are the tools that you have acquired to allow you to manage the level of stress and complexity in your life at that point. All right. But something may happen in your job. You may get promoted. You may get demoted. You may be in a relationship and a child might come along. Something might happen. And now you're very, very rapidly outnumbered again. And you might not have the tools. You might not be able to adapt that quickly. It's important to go and seek that stuff out. So, and it's not uncommon that it happens when I was already a stepfather, but when our son Wolfgang, when we were expecting, I started to fall off the edge a bit more. And it started to happen again. And I was on holidays in Daydream Island in the Whitsundays, and being around the high tide mark and stuff like that was all starting to happen again.
Would have been.
And I was like, oh, fuck me, no. And Audrey, pregnant, looks at me and she goes, you need to get back and see a psychiatrist because I need you around. She could just see it. And I was like, okay. And I know enough that if she tells me,
it's time.
I got to go because I can't see it when I'm in it.
Yeah.
And I was at his office the next day.
It's scary when you can feel it coming again. You're like, I'm just not going to look at it. I'm just going to put it.
Yeah, that doesn't work.
But then it kind of creeps over your shoulder and you're like, hey, go away.
Now it's way bigger. Yeah. But I didn't want to get back on the antipsychotics. It was starting to get bad again. I got on the meds. It did slow it, but it was starting to get back. I was like, fuck. So I went and found an acceptance commitment therapy specialist.
Cool.
And that's pretty much your last chance, your last stop before you get back on the big heavy duty meds. And it was extraordinary. And I found a lot of benefit from it. And to the point where that's the next book that comes out it's a graphic novel about acceptance commitment therapy. Wow. Of course.
Makes sense, fitting.
Yeah, of course. But it's the sort of thing that hopefully, in the situation that you guys were in before you realised something was up, it might be something that could be, well, hang on, there's something familiar here going on here.
Yep.
Because it's not words, it's pictures. I'm working with Cam Walker, Struzlis, I don't know if you know, he's an amazing artist. And yeah, so that's the kind of thing, and it's those core ACT principles, or ACT as it's called, that really helps me through my life now, in conjunction with, kind of like a bit of salt on the rice with the various pharmaceuticals that keep the boat floating along. But that's what life is right now, and that's okay.
Amazing.
I love it.
Can you tell us about the Guy Sebastian and Shannon Knoll, that moment of announcing that?
Oh, that could be a pretty crazy moment.
Yeah.
That was, okay, so
because you said 1 in 4.
1 in 4 adult Australians watched the final of the first season of Australian Idol, which is 22
what was
22
that
years ago
moment
now.
like?
It was, you become habituated. Like, that's just what it was.
Yeah.
2.5 million people watch the show every week. That was it. And this is the level of operations that we're at. And this is how big it is, and this is where we do it, and this is what goes on. And then people shout at me when I'm trying to buy my groceries, and this is just what my day-to-day is. Yep. Yeah, they did. It was terrible. But that moment, it was almost what you were describing happened in the airline gate. Like, every confetti cannon in the Southern Hemisphere went off at the same time, and 3,500 people in the main room of the Opera House just cheering for 10 straight minutes. It was bonkers, right?
Tears, everyone's
and the
crying.
network just leaves it up. They just showed these wide shots of confetti flying and people cheering, and because it was amazing television. And then my floor manager walks over to me and goes, "You're wrapped." And I was like, "Oh,
that's it.
What happens now?"
Really?
And it was just like a switch, man. It's like off. Oh, what do we do now? We go downstairs and do bags off the Steinway. That's what we do. But it
go home and go to bed.
It didn't do anything.
Yeah.
That was the wildest thing. It didn't do anything. Like, I was still like, okay, well, now I want to talk about myself a lot, but I still feel empty.
Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know. I'll drink some more beers and I'll do some more bumps.
Yeah.
I still feel empty. Like, I was led to believe that if you did enough of this and enough of that, the things would be awesome. No, I was just awake and wanted to talk a lot about how good I was, and I still felt hollow inside. Wow. It was really.
So you wouldn't have known that moment was coming, and did it? So it wouldn't have felt anything as how you would have perceived it.
Not at all.
So when you thought about that night, you're like, it's going to be insane, and then you're sitting there and you go, oh, it's just a Monday night.
It was a Sunday, but yes, I didn't really think about it's going to be insane. I was just more thinking like, I just wanted to do the best job I could, and connect with the moment and be in it, which I did. But I just didn't. It just, once it was over, it was gone. Like when your car gets stolen, you're like, oh, it was here.
Now it's not.
Now it's not.
That's it.
That was it.
Wow. I suppose how else would it feel?
Well,
but I mean, I guess what you're saying, they just wide shot and then just end.
Well, I didn't. The thing is, because I didn't at the time. I've done a lot of work since. I didn't understand. I did not have the self-worth to appreciate what it is that we had created together. In years since, I have come to appreciate that and understand that and know that I can reflect upon that and feel okay about it. And that's the way I go about my work now. But at the time, I didn't believe that I deserved it, or whatever. It was very odd.
Like an imposter syndrome. Really.
So I just tried to fill that hole with whatever it is that I could possibly fill it with, and no matter how much I shoved in there, it didn't do the job. Which is the great lie that we're told about a consumer culture. Say, you feel shit? That's because you don't have the new one of these.
Yeah.
Your one is 6 months old. This one, look at it.
You got to upgrade.
How good is it? And he's got the better one. I've got the 2.0. And life will be great once I get it.
Once you
it's
get
good for
2.5.
about an hour, and you go, this fucking thing still isn't.
Still
it's still just a thing.
What's next?
It's just an object. It's not being with another human being and helping them. which is better than anything.
Yeah, community.
It really is, and that's what you say.
Don't get me wrong. If you have a big TV, like bigger than mine right now, I will take it. Even though mine's quite big.
I was going to say, you would have the biggest
I'll take
possible.
a larger TV or a faster motorbike because I do still want to just make sure that my theory is correct.
I'll still trial it.
I'll give it a go.
Is it possible to currently get a bigger TV than one you have?
It was
I feel
David
like
Lee
you
Roth.
have
David Lee Roth. There was a band called Van Halen a long time ago. David Lee Roth is one of the most incredible frontmen of all time. He said, money cannot buy you happiness, but it can buy you a very, very big boat so you can sail right up on the side.
It buys a little bit of
Have you ever seen an unhappy man on a jet ski? Like,
I have.
Oh, there we go.
I've been one.
We did prove that theory.
I shot on the Gold Coast for a long time, man, and every 5 minutes, right, hold. Some guy with $800 a week of repayments and no job. Just like, hey, buddy.
Wiping the tears.
Yeah. Salty tears. But no, it is. It's connection with people. That's we're wired for that. As a community, it's one of the things that makes us feel better as people. And don't believe the hype, as Flavor Flav would have said. We're actually far more alike than we are otherwise.
Yeah.
All right. And I like to think about, for example, at the start of last year or middle of last year, like Coldplay played some gigs in Australia. I think 600,000 people or something went and saw that, right?
Wasn't it the biggest concert?
It was colossal, right?
Yeah.
So on that's a fairly wide swathe of the population, all right? So you got people, there'd be people who are coalition voters, Nationals voters, Greens voters, Labor, independents, anarchists, communists, who the fuck? They all know the words to Clocks. Yep. They all have the same favourite song.
Yeah.
And that is what life is. Yes, we may feel differently about the how, but our why is way more in common than other people that we are led to believe, because there's money to be made and power to be gained by trying to convince us that our whys are different. No. Every single one of us loves our family the same.
Yeah.
Every one of us loves our favourite food the same. Every one of us wants to be loved and cared for and cherished the same. We want to feel safe. We want to feel appreciated. Every one of us.
Yeah.
The how might look different, but don't fucking believe what anyone's telling you.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's true, though.
We needed to hear that.
We did need to hear that. We did need to hear that. It's just, Man, thank you for coming.
Thanks for chasing me down. You guys worked hard.
Oh, we did. We definitely did. We're not going to say
invoice.
We're not going to say we didn't.
No, you said invoice. I like that.
Yeah. I like that. But as we said at the start, it's like your bravery and your willingness to share what you've been through is something that we really resonated with, and it's inspired this show, which has helped countless others. So
I'm grateful, man.
So you've third party helped a lot of people. You're like the grandfather of the show.
Yeah, I'm old, but I'm not that old yet. And my stepdaughter, I don't think that's on the mind at this point.
No.
But no. Look, it's just, I don't know if people say it's brave. I don't think it's particularly brave.
He just overshares too much.
I'm just a chronic oversharer, man. I'll tell you anything you want to know.
I don't think I'm being brave, because brave bravery or courage is fear moving forward. I am not afraid to let another person understand that they're not alone. Why would I be afraid of that? I'm not afraid of that.
That's actually...
That's true. That's very true.
It's a very good way of looking at it.
It's true.
Yeah.
And if people want to not hire me because of something I've said, I don't want to fucking work for them.
Yeah.
That's the end of it.
As far as it goes. No, I agree.
Full stop, no there.
No. Yeah. Fuck no. You see all that shit that happened with that kid at the VFL last week or 2 weeks ago? No. There's a guy, I can't remember what AFL team. He plays for an AFL team. But he's gone as coach and he's gone, I'm not quite up to playing the first grade games. And coach is like, all right then. So he goes, what I'm going to do, I'm just going to play VFL during the season. A lot less pressure. It's like, okay. And there's fucking sports commentators going, oh, he should be playing. What the fuck? What's mental health? He's playing a game. He should be playing out there. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? How many of our incredibly gifted young athletes have to end their lives in an awful, awful, tragic way for you to realise that if this is what the man needs, this is what the man needs. All right? It's some real shit. He is doing what he needs to do right now. He will still be a talented athlete at the end of the season. Fuck off.
I totally agree.
He will come back better because he's rested.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's going to ruin his career jumping straight into it.
Yeah.
Oh my God. The story has been told way too many times of people who play at that level of athletics and sport of how it can all go wrong if they're not able to cope with the pressures and the stresses, which are immense. So why do you think it's going to have a different ending? Just because you said some shit on your studio, on your bloody AM radio show? Fuck off. It's a young man's life. It's someone's child, someone's brother, someone's boyfriend, someone's brother,
someone's favourite player,
someone's favourite player, someone's best mate.
Yeah.
Let him go play the fucking VFL if that's what he wants.
Let him do what he wants, eh?
Yeah.
Like, find something better to talk about, boys.
Liam, wrap her up.
Oh, well, Osher,
Thanks for having me.
thank you for coming. That was one of the most exciting days of our lives.
Number 2. Oh, if you get to number 1, let me know. Let me know
We'll
if I can
change
help
it
you.
to number 1 at the start for you.
Let me know if I can help you get to number 1 in any way.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
if there's anyone that I can help you get to on that list, if you can help me with one of my 2 Jack Johnsons, not yours.
damn it. He would have loved to meet
It'd be
you.
very difficult because one of mine's dead. But the other one, no, I've met him before. No, it's fine. I'll just help you with
We'll put in
yours.
the groundwork.
I'll
We
help.
help.
If
You
I can
help.
help you
We
with
help.
your list, I'd be grateful.
Down.
Amazing. Thank you.
You got it, man.
Thanks, man. Love yous.
Fun.
Man, that was unreal.